Hi guys, I'm back again today with another video, and today we're checking out the innovative way Ghent, Ghent, I don't know how to pronounce that. Belgium removed cars from the city. So before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's see how this is pronounced. Let's get it. So hot.
The atmosphere has just completely changed over the last 10 years in the sense that walking and cycling has become very natural and very normal for everyone.
It's important to show the inhabitants, the car drivers, the cyclists, that we mean it.
In Ghent, we have a good tradition of spatial
Ghent.
planning. You need it for the whole city and you need it for neighborhoods.
There's more and more people biking here in Ghent, especially since the circulation plan in the city center. It became a lot calmer, much more space for bikers to go, less cars.
The circulation plan was really needed because there was a lot of problem in the city with congestion, but also with livability.
To meet people, to have a nice time, that's what the city is about. The circulation plan is very important for Ghent, very important for life quality. We have an area where there are 7 parts. There's a car-free zone in the center and then 6 parts around it. For pedestrians, for cyclists, for public transport, nothing changed. But for car drivers, something changed. If they wanted to go from one part to another part, they had to go to the ring road. There was no connection between the parts possible with the car. So you get fewer cars.
We are here at the R40, as we called it in Ghent, which is the inner ringway. If you have to go from one section to another section, you have to pass via this ringway. This means that you see a lot more cars here.
So since the circulation plan has been introduced, we can see that there's absolutely a decrease in the number of cars in the city, an increase in walking and cycling. It also goes hand in hand with the parking measures that have been introduced. So we have more parking on the border of the city and people just walking or cycling or using public transport to enter the city.
The circulation plan was actually part of the mobility plan that also included the parking plan, a plan to enroll a cycling network in the city of Ghent. And the targets within the mobility plan were set on 35% of cycling in 2030. Now, 2 years after the circulation plan, we have a mode share of 35%, which was actually the target for 2030. So it seems that we have to rethink about the targets.
We're standing at the Kopure, which is the busiest bike street in Ghent. And before it was too narrow, like you see there's this narrow passage on the side. People were biking there. It became impossible to pass on both directions. So now bikers are driving on the streets just beside there. And they've got the whole street for them. It became a bicycle street by law also, which means cars can't overtake bikers anymore. So they have the whole space of the street just for them.
Speed limit is 30 kilometers an hour here. That way you see that cyclists are taking it a little bit over and it is quite safe and you don't always need separate bike lanes.
If you want to set up a cycling street, you really need a street with a low intensity of cars. And actually the circulation plan gave us the chance to increase the number from 8 cycling streets in 2017 to 18.
We can go by bicycle to our working place, to school and so on. 20 years of consequent politics that direction to make it a sustainable and a social city also.
That you can just let children walk and cycle alone to school, for example.
I know.
So working on modal shift is really important and making sure that this mind shift is there, that people just automatically choose sustainable modes of transport.
30% of the inhabitants of Ghent don't own a car anymore and raising their kids with the idea it's not necessary to have a car. Ghent has an ambition to be the biggest city of car sharing systems, so hopefully in the future the new generation will be used to that idea that you can use a car whenever it's needed, but you don't have to own it.
We have many rivers in Ghent. And in the 60s, they filled up the rivers to get parking spaces for cars. 1 year ago, this was still a parking for cars. And we reopened the river. This is important that we give water a place in the city. If you get parking spaces away, it's always a battle. For people who are parking, it's always very important they have their space. But what is amazing is that the moment the parking spaces are away, the city is still living and everything is still working. This is a new piece of infrastructure to get cyclists and pedestrians on a safe manner to the city center, because it was very hard for people who are living at the eastern side of the city to get in the center. And now with this underpass, it's possible to get in the center on a safe manner.
A lot of cars means a lot of pollution. The city council really wanted to try to do something else and to be really innovative.
For me, Utrecht and Groningen are example cities, iconic cities for pedestrians and cyclists. But what they have done is amazing.
Well, at one point we got a call from the vice mayor of Ghent, and he was interested in what we were doing in Utrecht with the bicycle program. So my vice mayor, she invited him and we showed him around, and he liked what we were doing very, very much.
They have such a high level of quality, and that was very hard for us to get at that same level. So what we did is not to get the same things as in Utrecht, because it should take 10, 20, 30 years also. We took a shortcut, and with the circulation plan we made space for pedestrians and cyclists without the hard and expensive infrastructure.
And this plan worked very well, and the inhabitants accepted it as well. Some little adjustments were done, but in general I think he did a real good job, I think.
So we're here at one of the places where they cut the street in two. Before, this used to be a road where you could go in both directions with a car. Now you can't anymore. With a bike you can still pass, and there's also still space for the buses and taxi drivers to go over this bridge, but normal cars can't go anymore. They use cameras here. The camera reads the license plate of the car, and then they get a fine afterwards if they did cross. So they place these things here, these planters, these benches, so people can sit here, but also to show that it is not longer a road where cars can pass in both directions, to make it a sign like here you have to stop and you have to turn around or go another way.
Here, this is one of the most important cuts we made. You can't get from one area to another, but if they come with a car in the city center, they get in and immediately they get out. Very simple. The cut is signed by the red strips, the traffic signs, the red blocks there, and sometimes there are, how would you call it, play elements. And this is better also for cyclists. If they come here, there are almost no cars, except services and taxis. All that period, 2.5 years, there was much debate and a very rough debate. I had some death threats, so this was not easy for me.
The first day when the circulation plan went live, there was national media coverage, and they all went to Ghent to see, will it work?
There was a lot of commotion in the city about what would happen. A lot of people thought Ghent would die, nobody would come to Ghent anymore, all the shops would have to close.
A lot of people, even Dutch people, told me, well, the plan that you're going to implement, that's political suicide 1 year before the elections. You can't do that.
They really went with a very negative image. It won't work, guys, you see, we're gonna say it won't work. But the truth was...
Yeah, people are just afraid of change until like it happens, and then they're like, okay, makes sense.
Everything changed. After that rough period of 2.5 years, I came outside with the journalists. I took a trip with the bike through Ghent, and everywhere people said, congratulations, very good, We are very pleased with it.
After that, national media really needed to change to admit that it is a good plan and it's working.
I also got emails from, for example, parents that said, thanks for introducing the circulation plan. It's actually the first time that I'm really happy with just my kids on the streets, and I'm not anxious anymore when they are biking.
If there is political will to make really good changes towards more walking and cycling and really making the city more pleasant and happy, that also on political level people get rewarded for it.
If you design a city for cars, you get cars. If you design a city for people, you get people.
Smart.
In earlier times, this was a street full of cars. It was a very popular street for car drivers. And what we will do is to expand the park just to the front of the water. Next time you come to Ghent, there will be no street anymore. There will be a park and the water. So and that's quality, to get public space for people, water, green.
Wow, that was good. Like they still pushed through with their plan despite like a lot of people were saying no, it's gonna fail, and they were getting a lot of hate, but they still went through with it. And look at them now. So we need people who actually have vision, and also he got inspiration for Utrecht and other places. So it clearly works, right? It's not a plan that is kind of like, oh, we don't know if it's gonna work, we're just testing. It's actually a plan that works somewhere. So why not incorporate that and see if it works for us? With a higher probability it would, because it works other places, right? So the risk is not as much as um the what people were initially afraid of. But that's us humans. We are always afraid of new beginnings. But then eventually we're like, hey, it's great. But anyways, beautiful peeps, I will see you hopefully tomorrow. Bye.